Welcome back to Miss Eddie's Math Movies, where it's a cute to be a square. And today we are doing lesson 1.3, which is all about points, lines, and planes. We're starting here on page 12, and we have a lot of vocabulary to do. So feel free to pause the video anytime you need if it's going through too fast and you can't get the definition down in time. Starting with undefined terms. Words that are not mathematically defined but have a common understanding. An example would be the words point, line, and plane. You know what a point is, you know what a line is, but we don't mathematically define them, but everybody has a pretty good understanding of what they are. That's what an undefined term is. So here's our best definition of a point. It's not really mathematical, but it's the best that we can do. A point is a no-dimensional small dot. So here's an example. Point, and then we'd like to give it a letter so we know which point we're talking about. This is point A, we'll say. But it doesn't have any dimension. There's no width, there's no length, there's nothing there. Even though it may look like it, there's actually nothing. So make sure you draw these pictures to the side so these definitions make a little bit more sense to you. So point is a no-dimensional small dot. A line is a one-dimensional straight, has to be straight line, with two arrowheads. So let's give that a draw. So straight line with two arrows, and we need to have at least 2 points on our line so we can name this appropriately. So let's do B and C. So there is a one-dimensional straight line. Now let's talk about naming this. If we want to name this line, one way that we can name it is using these two letters. We would say line BC, and then we would put a little teeny line above it. That's line BC. All right, what if I call this CB? Would that be the same thing? If you said yes, you're right. These lines are the same thing. You can say BC or CB, because if you're going forever through B and forever through C, it doesn't matter which letter we put first. These are both proper ways to name a line. I'll zoom in there for you if you can, so you can see that okay. This is a fine way to name the line. This is a fine way to name the line. But you only need 2 points. So we needed 1 point here for a point, 2 points to make a line, and then for a plane, hopefully you guessed it, we need 3 points to make a plane. So let's talk about a plane here. A plane is a two-dimensional shape like a wall that extends infinitely. So imagine a wall that goes on forever and ever in all directions. That's what a plane is. So I'll just draw mine. Obviously I can't draw anything that goes on forever. But imagine that it goes on forever this way, this way. It doesn't really have a shape, but this is how I'll try to draw it for you. And a plane needs 3 points to name it. So we need to put 3 points on here. Let's go D, E, F. Make sure you're drawing these pictures. So to name the plane, we just have to use those 3 letters in any combination. So we could call this plane DEF or DFE. Go ahead and write one other name that we could use for this plane. There's a couple more, but go ahead and write one more down. Our next word is postulate. which is a statement accepted without proof. Kind of think of it as a rule. So when you hear the word postulate, just think rule. Postulate is a rule that we accept. We're going to be talking about lots of postulates. It just means rules. The rules that make up geometry. Collinear points. When you see this word, I want you to break it down. So you might have noticed inside of this, I see the word line. All right, so it's probably going to have something to do with a line. And co. We think of other co-words. We've got co-pilot, co-captain, co-worker. And co always means together. If you're a co-pilot, you're a pilot together with somebody else. If you're a co-captain, you're a captain together with somebody else, or more than one person. Right? Co-worker, you work together with other people. So co means together. Linear means line. So together on a line. Points that lie together on the same line. So here would be a picture. We've got a line. G, H, I. G, H, and I are collinear because they lie on the same line. Notice they're all on this straight line. So they are together on a line. So our next word is coplanar. So this is together on a plane. Points that lie together on the same plane. All right, so I'll try to draw us another plane. Good enough. And we need, I'll put 4 points on this plane. J, K, L, and M. All those points are coplanar because they are together on a plane. Notice now we have coplanar lines. So it's lines that are on the same plane. So let's draw ourselves another plane. Let's put 2 lines on here. They are together on the same plane. Remember, feel free to stop at any time if you need more time to write these down. A segment is part of a line that has 2 endpoints. So instead of having arrows like a line, it stops. Like this. Let's use O and P. So to name this, instead of using 2 arrows like we did above, we're just going to put a bar above the letters. So we can call this segment OP. See how it's just a bar with no arrows? Or we could call it PO. We start at O, end at P, or start at P and end at O. Still the same segment. These 2 names are equal to each other. And our last word is ray, which is part of a line that has 1 endpoint and an arrowhead. So 1 endpoint and an arrow. So it's kind of like a combination. So let's put 2 points on here. We'll do Q and R. So to name this, instead of using a bar or 2 arrowheads, we're going to use a little bit of both, because a ray is kind of like a segment in a line. So Q starts at Q, goes to R, and the arrow is going past R. So we write it like this. We always have the arrow pointing to the right. Now what do you think about this? Could we name this RQ? starting at R and going forever through Q. This is not the same thing. These are not equal. Those are two different rays. So that makes it a little bit different than before. All right, let's do some examples to show you what all this means. All right, postulate 1. So rule number 1, 2 points determine a line. Through any 2 points, there is exactly one line. We'll do an example of this when we get in class. Through any 3 non-collinear points, there's exactly one plane. You'll notice here, oh, they've named it plane T. We've got 3 points on plane T. Example 1. Name 3 points. So 3 points, they all have to have little dots by them. So let's look at this picture. Here's a dot, and here's a dot. So our points are D, E, and F. Now, lines need to have 2 letters or 1 lowercase letter that's not a point. So go ahead and take a look at this line right here. See, there's a nice line. We could call this line DE because it goes forever through D and E. So there's one way we could name it. Or we could name the same line ED. Or if you look here, there's this little lowercase letter that has nothing by it. This is another name for the line. So we could call this P. We don't put anything above it because that's just the name of the line. So down here, if you look at this line, all we have is little m to name that line. So you could call the lines P and M if you prefer. And then naming 2 planes. You can always use 3 points to name a plane, or there's usually bold capital letters to name a plane. So if you look here, this flat surface, this plane, has a capital letter right here that stands for the plane. So this is plane Q. And this flat surface going this way is, see this bold capital letter? That stands for the name of the plane as well. Name 3 points that are collinear. So co means together, linear means line. So together on a line. 3 points that are together on a line. Well, here's a line. Oh, and it has 3 points, D, E, and F. D, E, and F lie on the same line. Perfect. Name 4 points that are coplanar, so together on a plane. Well, if you look here, here's a nice flat surface, and it's got 4 points, D, E, F, and G. Another possible answer would be D, E, F, and H. Because look, if we were to connect this, this would be another flat surface that could go on forever. So that's another possible answer. D, E, F, and H. Name 3 points that are not collinear, so that are not together on a line. Well, I think we should probably, as long as we have G in there, we're going to be okay. So D, E, and G is one possible answer. They are not on the same line together. There are more possible answers than that, but we'll just use that one for now. All right, on page 11, I want you to try this whole page on your own. I want you to do this now and do this now. And we will go over it in class. All right. Oh, these are also good problems for you to try, and we will go over these in class. So do this now, do this now, and do this now. We will talk about them in class. Well, that sums it up for today. This is M Cubed signing out.